You ever have one of those days where you think nothing out of the ordinary is going to happen, and then your whole world flips in under a minute? Yeah, that was me, sitting in my office sorting through case files when I got a call that turned every nerve in my body cold. My 12-year-old daughter Lily was sobbing on the other end, voice trembling so hard I could barely make out her words. She was at her great-grandfather Ezra's old ranch, the place where she felt closest to him since his heart attack 6 months back. But today, instead of finding peace, she found Brinley Ashworth, our newish neighbor, and as fate would have it, the self-appointed HOA president screaming at her and threatening to call the cops. You know how some folks move into a place and act like they've owned it forever? That's Brinley. She was on Lily and Mrs. Rodriguez Ezra's old friend, like a dog with a bone, telling my daughter she was trespassing, that the property had been abandoned, and she was going to have her arrested. Mind you, this is a kid with a pink backpack standing there with nothing but carrots for Buttercup, her favorite horse. Not exactly your textbook criminal right, but Brinley wasn't hearing it. She spun this tale to 911 about a dangerous intruder. Never mind, the intruder is 12, sobbing, and probably weighs 90 pounds soaking wet. By the time I hung up with Lily, sirens were already wailing down Lakeshore Drive. That ranch was Lily's sanctuary, the only place she could really breathe since Ezra died. And now with the sound of police rolling in, you could hear her innocence slipping away. Daddy, am I in trouble? Did I do something wrong? That's the kind of question no parent ever wants to answer. I tore out of my office paperwork still scattered on the desk and made it to the ranch just as Brinley was putting on a show for anyone within earshot. She had her phone out, 911 on speaker, milking every ounce of drama. There's a minor here. Officer abandoned property. Suspicious behavior. Maybe she's even trying to steal the horses. I'm standing there, just trying not to lose it, watching Mrs. Rodriguez put herself between Lily and the chaos. The horses, Buttercup especially, knew something was up, nuzzling against Lily as if to say, "I got you, kid." That's when Deputy Morrison arrived, full of swagger eyes darting between us like he'd just broken up a mafia ring. Brinley wasted no time, pointed straight at Lily, and started barking about trespass, animal endangerment, the whole 9 yards. The deputy, what was he, maybe 28, started grilling Lily for ID, wanted to see what was in her backpack. The carrots and apple slices, like they were evidence. It'd be funny if it wasn't so maddening. Lily tried explaining, voice all shaky. This was my grandpa's ranch. I'm just here for Buttercup, that's all. Didn't matter. Brinley ramped it up, accused us of fraud, said our legal documents were fake, demanded arrests for conspiracy. Morrison ate it up, and I could see Lily shrinking by the second, like she was starting to believe she really had done something wrong. I kept calm. 20 years on the bench teaches you that. I pulled out our portfolio deeds, probate papers, everything in order, all signed by the district judge. Deputy, you've got the wrong story. This is our family's land. My daughter has every right to be here. Morrison wasn't buying it, said anyone could print paperwork that Lily needed to leave until he could verify ownership. That's when I made a call to Sheriff Jake Caldwell, a man I've known longer than Brinley's lived in the county. Jake, it's Maverick. I need you at Whitmore Ranch pronto. 12 minutes later, Jake's patrol car rolled up, and the mood changed instantly. Jake surveyed the scene, eyes narrowing when he saw Morrison's posture and Brinley's frantic phone waving. Maverick, what's going on here? The story came out. Morrison stumbling over his words, Brinley doubling down about property values and abandoned land. Jake cut her off, voice low and deadly calm. Brinley, you might want to stop talking. He explained to Morrison and everyone listening that Ezra wasn't just a random guy. He was a decorated Vietnam vet pillar of the community, ran that ranch as a sanctuary for abused horses and a classroom for every kid in town who needed a little peace. The twist, Brinley had been harassing Ezra for months before he passed, trying to bully him into selling, saying the horses were a nuisance. Mrs. Rodriguez backed it up, voice shaking as she described Brinley's visits, sometimes daily, always unwelcome. Now the HOA president who'd called the cops on a grieving child was exposed in front of the whole neighborhood. You could feel the shift. Morrison started sweating. Brinley's confidence cracked, and Lily, sweet as she is, looked up at Jake and whispered, "I just wanted to feed Buttercup." In that moment, the truth cut through all the noise. This was never about property values or bylaws. It was about a lonely woman trying to control a world spinning out of her grasp, and a family just trying to heal. And just when you think it couldn't get more public, Brinley fired up a live stream ranting about corruption, waving her phone like a sword. Except instead of outrage, the comments started rolling in with support for Lily. Let her grieve. Show some respect, even veterans groups chimed in. Meanwhile, Mrs. Rodriguez started her own stream sharing the real story, Lily's weekly visits, the rescued horses, Ezra's kindness. That's when Tommy Chen showed up 10 years old, straight-backed, telling both streams. Ezra said, hurt people, but love people, love people. Maybe Miss Ashworth forgot how to love. Out of the mouths of babes, right? While Brinley was tanking her own reputation, Councilwoman Diana Frost arrived, stone-faced. She'd been watching the chaos. Online, turned out the HOA board had been in emergency session, and they voted unanimously to boot Brinley as president and issue a public apology to my family. Brinley's phone kept rolling, catching every ounce of her shock and the board's statement about her pattern of harassment and the flood of resident complaints. Deputy Morrison, looking about 2 feet shorter than when he arrived, publicly apologized to Lily, admitted he'd mishandled things, and promised to do better. And just when the dust started settling, the real kicker came. Brinley's own paperwork to seize Ezra's land surfaced, complete with forged signatures. The woman screaming corruption had been running her own scheme to steal the property. Everything was caught on her own live stream. 1 week later, the case landed in my courtroom. Yeah, I had to recuse myself from parts of it, but the facts were so clear it didn't take long. Testimonies from kids, veterans, rescue volunteers. It painted a picture of a woman whose need to control left nothing but pain in her wake. But it was Lily who brought the house down. Standing on a stool to reach the mic, she said, "My grandpa always told me love people, love people." Maybe Mrs. Ashworth just needs to learn how to be gentle again. She wasn't asking for punishment, she was asking for a second chance. So we did something different. Brinley got 30 days in county jail, but her real sentence, 200 hours at the ranch, mucking stalls, helping with riding lessons, learning patience from the very animals she'd tried to ban. And you know what? Over time, something shifted. Mrs. Rodriguez told me Brinley started talking to Buttercup, helping nervous kids, showing up every weekend. The city council made the ranch a memorial haven. Lily runs programs for kids and vets, turning grief into purpose, and Brinley, of all people, quietly found a way to be useful. 6 months later, I drove out and saw her teaching a little boy how to brush a hoarse voice, soft and patient. She nodded at me. No drama, just acceptance. Sometimes justice is about more than punishment. It's about creating room for people to find their way back. Lily was right. Hurt people can learn to love again if someone's willing to show them how. So let me ask you, have you ever seen karma come full circle and turn into something good? Drop your stories below. I read every comment, and the best ones might make it into the next video, like the time another HOA Karen tried to ban memorial gardens for property values. Some fights never end, but hey, that's a story for another day.